Hello. Dumelang. This is Oli Bolobule on Talk Africa, your host on the Voice of Knowledge. This is the fireplace of Africa where we meet to interact and share knowledge from different journeymen and women, where we share stories of inspiration from those who have gone ahead, especially to inspire those who are yet to take the same journeys. Our guest today is a tech entrepreneur, one of Botswana's innovators, a tech entrepreneur who is building solutions for businesses to compete and scale. I actually consider him to be one of that group of a growing movement in Africa that is shaping the knowledge economy. My brother, Kenneth Stimela, welcome to Talk Africa.
Thanks, Ole. Thanks for having invited me on your platform. I'm quite excited about the conversation that we are going to be having today.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. And you're actually the first man on this show. Our guests have been women, so we appreciate you. Now, usually I like to go back to the roots. Where did you grow up? And when you grew up, what fascinated you most as a kid?
I grew up on the dusty streets of Lobatse in a locality called Peleng. That's where I attribute my roots to. When you are there's a local team there called Extension Gunners. Mm-hmm. When I'm inside where I grew up at my grandparents' place, I practically see the Extension Gunners grounds. So that's where I grew up. I'm born and bred in Lobatse. Came to the city when I was coming for varsity.
Like most of us.
Like a lot of us. Yeah. And I think now I'm a city boy on the basis of having lived more life in the city than back home. It was quite fascinating in many facets to interact with Extension Gunners, to grow up in the neighborhood as a typical young person in Botswana. I think things are slightly different at the moment when we look at the type of society that existed now back then. From being part of being groomed by society, I was also quite fortunate to have practically stayed the length and breadth of Lobatse. My mother is a teacher, yeah. So I was fortunate to move from Peleng to go and stay also in Botoka in Woodhall. So I practically know a lot of people in Lobatse in my generation.
Yeah. So there were no transfers, and since your mother was a teacher, she was always in Lobatse when you were still in school?
And not quite. It's by being a civil servant, transfers become part of the journey of all of this.
Yeah.
The presence of grandparents automatically meant that they are the ones who practically raised me up. There's an old man called Alison Piri who was a friend. He was my grandfather. He's practically the one who saw me growing up because of all of these transfers that come with serving the nation by parents.
Yeah. And so now you have grown into this tech giant, as far as I'm concerned. When did you start being fascinated by technology or the field that you are in now? Was it always something that you were attracted to as a kid?
I fell in love with technology, all thanks to a gentleman called Mr. Thomas. He was of Indian origin and a teacher, and my science teacher in Ibelecheng CJSS. There was this one moment when he came carrying a personal computer into the science class. I've never been the same after that. I've always known after that I wanted to build my career around this piece of machine. Funny enough, over time, I've seen and grown and saw this piece of metal transcending and becoming something else in terms of the possibilities of connecting us with the world, of giving us an opportunity to do many other things in terms of what technology is able to do. So I look back at that moment as a moment that really transformed the way that I started looking at everything else.
Yeah. And you have worked in different settings and in different places before you ventured into your own space. And today you are not just the founder, but the managing director of Leverage Point. Now, the formation of Leverage Point, was that something that was always a dream, or it was a matter of necessity where you find a gap and you realize, I'm actually the guy to fill this gap?
First, thanks, Ole. I must also recognize the journey and the path that I've been fortunate to be part of. I've served in multiple corporates in Botswana and transitioned from those corporates from local enterprise authority, where I spent about 6.5 years as a systems analyst, and was privileged to serve the region, where I joined SADC Secretariat for another 6.5 years. Also working in the technology space. It was quite a privilege in many facets of having traversed this entire region, both flying into it as well as having to be on the roads of the streets of Africa to practically serve the region in as far as building technology is concerned, putting together policy positions, and subsequently realizing those policy positions being translated into technology. During these 13 years, I must say there was one point in time when I realized that I was growing faster than what the market was offering from so many different facets. I was looking forward to different challenges, to contribute differently, away from bureaucratic setups. I equally got to that space where I recognized that I could actually add value by transitioning and becoming an entrepreneur. The love for technology was core in terms of this path. And I saw opportunities where the world was now fast moving towards being plugged in, towards a flattened world, towards an automated world, towards having to do a lot of work around the knowledge economy. And I must also highlight that I don't know whether it was by design or how to put it. When I was part of a program in Stellenbosch of an MPhil in information and knowledge management, I started seeing the world differently, where conversations were about knowledge assets, the knowledge economy, about having to look at all of this from a commercial perspective as opposed to just building technology. And that being the case, it automatically catapulted me to seeing multiple opportunities where technology is concerned. Automating processes for government, assisting businesses and enterprises and different sectors in terms of automating all of this. Leverage Point was born foremost as a side hustle of wanting to build technology differently, and also starting that journey of wanting to exit corporate. And quite interestingly, that decision was once taken, went to market, started trying to become an entrepreneur, failed, applied, went back to corporate to serve in an organization called SADC DFRC. Look, I had the credentials, the know-how of knowing how to serve in corporate. What I didn't know was what it meant to now transition, because to build a company is slightly different from the experience that one has. But even when I failed and went back, at the back of my mind, I always knew that I'm going back to restructure the way that Leverage Point must indeed take off. And I went back for, I think, about 18 months And every day, the dream and the vision of creating, growing, and ensuring a sustainable organization was always at the back of my mind. I had to work double the effort to serve corporate and also serve this growing baby in terms of making sure that it takes off.
Yeah, and I'm sure during this process of trying, failing, going back, there was a taste of freedom somewhere there to be able to express yourself and do what you want.
And when you've done and when you've tasted that freedom of being able to passionately deliver on what you love, you always have to keep it at the back of your mind that I have this vision of wanting to come into the space and creating this in a different manner. And when you do that, it automatically forces you to work extra hard.
Yeah.
Firstly, to ensure that where you are making your bread and butter is indeed taken care of. And secondly, put in the shift and the hours to make sure that the vision that you want to create is indeed recognized and realized.
Yeah. And now they say once the tire hits the road, usually that's when reality sets.
Correct.
Now, when you got into this journey, what is it that you found to be harder than you had expected when you had this vision or when you started?
Firstly, you are seated at the comfort of your desk, looking at all of these opportunities from that comfort. And like as you put it, when the tire hits the road, then you start realizing that the experience that we have in corporate does not automatically translate into business. There are bills to be paid. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I must take care of my responsibilities in as far as all of these things come. And the moment when you are not able to immediately take care of your responsibilities, automatically the pressure mounts.
Yeah.
And it's such sort of circumstances that automatically starts making you to then realize that, but you have the qualifications. You must start applying for the jobs. And the important thing was having that clarity of what it is that I wanted to create, to say beyond going back, the intention to create the organization, to grow the organization and ensure that the vision is realized was always at the back of my mind.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I mean, with the credentials that you have and the experience that you just shared, I mean, working for SADC, working for Leah, I think you've also been at the Botswana Innovation Hub.
I was privileged, and
Yeah.
I must give them homage and credentials that they deserve. We've grown all thanks to a government program that comes with having to support innovators.
Yeah.
I still remember when we first went there, I was having my backpack. We grew. I think we are currently around 20 in terms of the total number of people that are working in Leverage Point. And I must highlight that it is these government programs that we've always rode on and made sure that they assisted us in terms of growing the technology, the advisory services, and as far as not only being passionate about the tech, but also ensuring that we balance the building of the technology as well as paying rent, growing this enterprise in a sustainable manner.
Yeah. And the thing that I'm so aware of regarding your journey so far is, I think it's your passion for Africa, which I find quite inspiring for a young person. I consider you a young person.
Right.
Yeah. So a young African entrepreneur who loves Africa, despite whatever hiccups we may have, it's quite an admirable thing. But then, in terms of locally, what impact is Leverage Point able to make so far in talking about Botswana? And then, how far do your footprints, reach into the region, into Africa? Because I'm aware you are really engaged within the region.
Correct.
Yeah.
I again privilege of having served the SADC region, it gave me a lot of exposure and understanding of the dynamics of the African context, I must say. And it is on the basis of such that I've had passion of solving African problems with technology, just as a starting point. The second part that I must also highlight is we are a software development company that has been providing services of building websites. We run some of the biggest websites in the country. We build custom-made software solution, meaning that we conceptualize, we analyze, and subsequently deliver on custom-made software solution. So we practically build that software solution ground up from literally every different sector. We build mobile applications, we build typically communication platforms, and we are growing our footprint across the region. We've been doing quite a lot of work around the SADC region. We've been heavily involved with quite a number of projects for the government of Botswana. I think one of my favorite projects was one that we built with Leah, where we automated processes for screening, leading to a lot of Botswana being given access to the informal sector loans. I think that project is quite dear to me because when we built this technology, it was never about the tech, but it was about the impact that it was making. And as far as giving each and every Motswana, whether they're in stress syndrome, Ramokhabama, Ramatlabama, an opportunity to be plugged into economic opportunities, and as far as that is concerned, it's really one that is dear to my heart in terms of solutions that we have built. We do quite a lot around the region in terms of building your customer relationship management systems, in terms of building mobile applications, and automating for some of the insurance companies as well as banks in Malawi. We are doing a lot in Lesotho as well, where some of this is concerned. So the region, we are intentionally growing into the region and ensuring that we are benefiting from the knowledge economy in itself.
Yeah, and then would you then say, because of your experience working within the region, especially through SADC, as far as the region is concerned, you basically know where to go, you know where the needs are, or?
We were quite privileged, and again, we are building partners, we are part of programs. In 2024, we are part of a very prestigious program that DBS facilitated for us to be part of, called Stanford Seed. It's a business transformation training that Leverage Point, the entire team, went through. And through that program, one of the important things was to be given context of the African setting. We are part of a cohort of brilliant CEOs, women and men that want to change the trajectory of the African context. And yes, on hindsight, my knowledge and experience of having served in the region equally assisted, but equally the platform that DBS provided in as far as this is concerned was equally it equally assisted us in terms of growing around the region.
Indeed. And that's quite a portfolio that you just shared, quite a footprint. We are talking about how long a journey from setting up Leverage went up to now?
It's been 8 years now.
8 years?
It's been 8 years now.
You've done well, haven't you?
We are still ambitious.
Generally speaking. I mean, there's never enough, but...
Look, we are thankful for the journey. I think every day we are grateful for the years of growth, of refining, of consistently having to look back and improve. And we are equally grateful. I'm particularly grateful to my team, those that have been part of this narrative, those that continue to be part of it in terms of wanting to changed the discourse and trajectory of what Botswana are capable of doing, what Africans are able to do, what young people are able to do. So yes, we are grateful for the past 8 years, and equally thankful to many of the people that we interact with. They subsequently become part of our portfolio. Our clients have seen the value that we bring to the table, have been very supportive in terms of ensuring that our growth is slowly getting to levels of sustainability.
Yeah. And then, as a country, how well do you think we are utilizing tech, especially in terms of solving the many problems, developmental speaking, that the country needs to solve? Are we really using tech? I'm talking across, whether it's within the service provision space, whether it's at individual level.
I will provide some sort of context towards my thought process. When we talk about technology in the context of Botswana, foremost, I think we are growing into the space. Foremost, we've done quite a lot where building of infrastructure is concerned. A lot of investment has been made, particularly on the public side of things. I think we have access to internet, we have stable, reliable electricity. We have too done quite a lot in terms of investing on the skills and knowledge of the people. And thirdly, the aspect of technology. You find that different sectors are at different level. Mining typically is at the highest level in terms of the adoption of technology.
Yeah.
When you now come to the government side, I think there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of foremost growing this and ensuring complete automation of government services. And I think the government of Botswana is particularly Mr. President, he's quite clear about this messaging of what it is that we need to do. President Dumaboko is quite intentional about the need for Botswana to automate and ensure that anybody, wherever they are able to access government services, interact with government, and continue to grow that interaction where they are first consuming government services and also providing some sort of feedback to government in as far as how best can the government be able to provide for them in a better way. And then there's a second part, which is largely on the private sector part. The level of adoption, utilization in the private sector is obviously different. On the government side, there's a lot of balancing act, but when you now go to the private sector, it's about using technology for purposes of being competitive, being ahead of the game, and also ensuring that these enterprises are making it a lot more efficient to consume their services. Government side, a lot needs to be done. We must do that. We must admit that. I think there are a lot of very good building blocks that exist. We now need to transition. And that transition must be intentional. It must be there must be clarity of what it is that we need to do, where automation of government services are concerned, and most importantly, we must intentionally again invest across this intention and vision that needs to be achieved where government is concerned.
And like you rightly say, I mean, government intention is very clear. And our journey has actually been long, information technology systems speaking. I remember a time where we were struggling with just internet speed. There was issues about, our cable that, taps into the undersea being smaller, needing to expand it. We are now way past that. We are no longer even talking cables. We are talking satellite internet. We are talking speeds of 300 Mbps.
Correct.
So that seems to be in the past.
Correct.
But now, the systems, they are down. They are crashing. What exactly is happening there, Kenneth, with systems that are so consistently down?
A worrying one, Ole, a very serious one, particularly when government services are not able to reach the people, because that automatically means Botswana wakes up at 4 o'clock to go and queue for the whole day to get a government service. Foremost, and I'll give a typical example to try to contextualize this. I spoke about 3 major important things where technology is concerned: the legislature, the processes supporting this. The second part is the people, from internal and external and skills context point of view. And thirdly, the technology itself. So you find a lot of times that, and another very important part, the cultural context and aspect where countries are concerned and where technology is now going to be employed and utilized. Where our systems are concerned, we are not doing so well when it comes to maintenance. When systems are put into production, we start underpaying the maintenance costs.
Yeah. And while you hold that thought, Kenny, earlier on we were talking about the importance of foundation.
Correct.
Before we even talk about their maintenance,
correct,
are they sitting on firm foundations from your experience? Most of our systems, especially those that are supposed to provide essential public service.
I think I have a bit of clarity, especially with the old technology where government is concerned. Yeah. And a lot of that with critical government services is indeed sitting on very good, reputable technology. And a lot of it was built around off-the-shelf solutions that were customized and utilized into the context of Botswana. There's a different part to this conversation that I will try to pick it up in terms of what I'm saying. So you find that those systems, some of them were implemented in 1998, all right? And we've consistently been doing upgrades accordingly. A typical car that was bought in 1998 means that it is not as good as a car that is bought now, right? Mm-hmm. So systems reach end of life ordinarily in terms of the way that they work. And you find that as and when we have to do capital expenditure where systems have reached end of life, it's quite a substantial amount of money that must be done. But it's part of system trajectory in terms of their life cycles. So you find that we have technology that was deployed in your 1998s. We keep on growing it, refining it, patching it. At one point in time, it must reach end of life. We must invest again and make sure that we are now picking up on newer technology that is much more stable. So these cycles keep coming in terms of that. And this is one part that we must think about where the system availability is concerned, ensuring that we are running away from system is down. The second aspect, again, goes back to understanding these issues around processes, the architecture, business continuity. Whenever, I always say that there's a difference. When there is an electricity cut in the country, the private sector never has any problem of system is down, right? So you now need to reflect and think, okay, what does this mean? They have business continuity, they have backups and high availability and redundancy of services that are being provided for. So the question is, are we doing the same? I'm not too sure where that is concerned, and it's something to think about. When we want to achieve 100% availability of systems, we must invest on them. And we must also change the way that configuration of the people side is concerned. We want to run 24/7, 365 until eternity access kind of vision. So it means that we must make sure that those that are responsible from a government side, one shift comes in and one shift leaves. So it cannot be from 8 o'clock until 4:30. It's 24 hours of operations, of ensuring that the technology is fully available. It goes back to investment. So those are intentional conversations that we must reflect on and ensure that the level of investment is equal to the vision of what it is that we want to create. Private sector does a lot better. I think sometimes with government having multiple heads, multiple responsibilities, multiple frontiers, it means that sometimes the investment that goes in terms of ensuring 100% system availability is not at the same as what the private sector does.
Yeah. And are we possibly then talking really about culture? Because business continuity. I happen to have started my career in the public service way back then. Right. And I'm absolutely certain business continuity was not part of the vocabulary. And then later on, when I was in parastatals, I started to learn, and then I was also learning on my own. Right. I got to learn business continuity, risk management. Right. So essentially in business, like you're saying, in the private space, if your system is down, whether it's for 2 hours, you know for sure some other guy is going to have your dinner. Whereas in the public service, system is down, so what? I can sit here, do whatever I can do while I wait for the system to come up, and then life continues, life goes on. And again, it's this conversation where foremost we have clarity of the vision of what it is that we want to achieve, where systems are concerned as a starting point. The second part is also having to ensure that the amount of investment in terms of achieving this vision is also very clear. We have institutions where state-owned enterprises, for example, where typically your Botswana Unified Revenue Services, they go to lengths of ensuring that the system is never down, right? They understand the commercial value of ensuring that the tax system is up and running at all times, right? So we need the conversations to transition to that level where we must try to look at this from a cost point of view. How much opportunity are we losing? How much are we disenfranchising a typical Botswana? What does it mean in terms of this? And when we are providing all of these services, we must also reflect on the cost of these services vis-a-vis what we then ask typically citizens to pay for these services, because there must be a give and take. We must intentionally ask ourselves, when we are providing digital services to Botswana, I want to pay 100 pula as an annual subscription to have access to a government portal. Why? It's saving me time. It's automatically contributing to future maintenance. And I'm saying this because government by nature comes to provide the services. But government now needs to transition and think questions of what is the actual cost of providing for this service? How do I ensure consistency of the service, growth of the service, and sustainability of the services? So from the onset, you get to a level where there is a huge investment, and now when we have to do maintenance, it plunges, because we must balance the different issues around health, education, transport, and many other facets that government has to contend with. So we need to intentionally look at all of the models. I think quite interestingly, during the first State of the Nation address, the president actually said in future
The suppliers will be paid on the basis of transactions that they have processed, but we must also intentionally ask ourselves the same question that I just brought up. If I'm finding convenience on accessing these platforms, I must equally see value in having to compensate for accessing those platforms, because it saves me money. I don't want to wake up at 4 o'clock. I want to be at the comfort of my home and still access government services. So how much is cost of convenience? We need true clarity where these conversations are concerned.
So that we're also willing to pay for them.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Now, the new kid on the block, artificial intelligence. Obviously, for guys like you in this space, you're never worried or intimidated by these new developments.
No.
You just go with the flow.
Correct.
But are we ready for this wave as a country or even as a society maybe? Ready meaning with respect to fully utilizing it for the capabilities that it offers, but also being able to be safe in its use.
Correct. You are either an innovator or a consumer.
Yeah.
If you are an innovator, you become excited about the fact that AI is part of the space.
Indeed.
If you go as far back as the narrative where technology is concerned, where developments are concerned, where revolutions are concerned, every time when revolutions happen, it's a question of which side of the revolution are you? Are you choosing to take advantage of these platforms, or are you seeing this as an enemy? And I say, if you're an innovator, you become excited of what artificial intelligence is able to do. We are quite excited in Leverage Point in terms of what we've been able to build where AI is concerned. We've integrated it into one of our platforms called Job Point. It's a marketplace that brings together job seekers and employers. We've utilized a lot of AI in terms of the job seeker being given personalized alerts, building the CV and optimizing it, building cover letters, and the most interesting one that we are now building is where I am able to sit in front of the computer and interact with AI for coaching purposes. It's able to immediately assist me in terms of growing and refining my trajectory as a professional. So we've adopted it intentionally because we've seen the value that comes with having to do that. We are innovating on top of it. And one of the most exciting things at the moment is that we are now getting to a level where we want to build our own models. And I'm saying that because tech makes more sense when it's contextualized, when we are solving African problems by African innovators and ensuring that what we are building rivals what is there in as far as the globe is concerned. From a country perspective, I think there are quite a lot of conversations that are ongoing. There've been so many consultative forums inviting the different stakeholders to come and contribute. We've equally seen what countries such as Kenya, Rwanda, we've looked at what they have done. Personally, I've done that in terms of appreciating what they're doing where AI is concerned. You are either an innovator or a consumer. On the basis of these two, you choose which side you want to belong to.
And that determines how you react to the...
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it always fascinates me how I will call them the alarmists, always amplify the supposed to be negative aspects of new innovations, new developments. Yet we know that a lot of things that come up are meant to improve the human status and what they do. So I was talking to somebody the other time saying, this reminds me, it reminds me of that, the time when people used to go to the mines to dig gold and whatever. They were using shovels. And then the big machines came. Correct.
And there was a big hula-baloo of this is taking our time.
People's jobs.
And I always say that when you look at the first, second, third, fourth AI space, what innovators have been able to do is to be in the forefront of commercialization, of taking advantage of such platforms. When someone is seated on the other side and say, the JCB is taking my job, right? There is somebody who created a JCB, who saw value in not this one JCB, but sending it to many other places. Yeah. So it still again goes back to the side of the revolution that you are in. Are you consuming? Are you adopting? Are you a user? Are you consuming? Yeah. So when you choose, and I think on many other platforms I've previously said, the fourth industrial revolution might be challenging the way that the current way in which technology is replacing people. But what we must ask ourselves is entities such as Leverage Point, when supported sustainably, they create these platforms and hire more people. And the impact of having created this is felt globally. We attract forex into the country. We outsource our services. Money stays in the country by supporting these things. So we must consistently ask ourselves these fundamentals of which part of the conversation am I looking, which lens am I wearing? And on the basis of that lens, how do I transition from this side to making sure that I see value, I contribute, and take advantage?
Exactly. And as we near the end, this has been a journey for you. Now, if you look back as a tech entrepreneur, what do you wish you had known back then that you have come to know now? What do you wish you had known when you started this journey?
It's a double-pronged part. Yeah. Firstly, to recognize that to go far, it takes people collectively doing things together. To achieve miracles requires clarity of vision and consistency of the journey ahead. And the vision sits with the founder, but you must take people along. One of the things that passion doesn't pay bills. You must be intentional around partnerships, around sustainability of building an enterprise, and be in it for the long haul. You don't come into this entrepreneurship space for quick wins. You are in it for the long haul. You are in it for impact. You are in it for ending the cycle of poverty, particularly where growth from Botswana to the rest of Africa is concerned.
And to a young guy who's looking at this high flyer techpreneur, what would you like to tell them about this journey and what it means to be a big player in the tech industry?
It's quite important to consistently be disciplined around the journey. I like the idea of consistently telling people that you must be intentional with the responsibility that has been vested on you at that particular point in time. If I'm a student, I must thrive, I must excel, I must be on top of my game. That is the responsibility that has been vested in me. When I transition from being a student into either a professional setting or either as a job seeker, I must excel at every opportunity that is put in front of me. It has always been what I've always been passionate about. When you are given an opportunity, it never comes twice. And when you are given that opportunity, you must put in 150%. So that the next person who's coming in and looking at what you have done will say, this undoubtedly is the best. So we must be intentional around such spaces that we've been given opportunities of either as a student, either as a civil servant, either as a business person, or as many different hats that we continue to interact and play a role on. We must be so intentional.
Spoken like a true leader and builder. Well, my brother, Like they say, time flies when you're having a good time. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sure this is a conversation to be repeated.
I'm certain that there's a lot to unpack. We've left many others where this conversation is concerned.
Yeah.
And thank you for having invited me on this platform. Congratulations on having started this. We hope that our very well-founded saying in terms of this conversation will most certainly make an impact where many is concerned.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to shy away from 2 cents worth of we must be so intentional because we know the value of the conversation itself.
No, thank you very much. Thank you, my brother. I mean, the whole idea is really to take the golden knowledge that you guys have and share it with our people.
Correct.
Well, there goes our conversation for tonight, our beloved viewers. Join us once again in the next episode. And as usual, don't forget to follow us on YouTube, on Facebook. Thank you for joining us around the African fireplace of Talk Africa, the voice of knowledge. Thank you.